For the past 10 years, I've been preparing, training for this moment to not get hit. As a follow-up to the previous video, here's how I leveled and progressed this lightning arrow Deadeye to Aktikatava and Eater EXARCH. I will mostly focus on gearing and atlas progression, but will also briefly discuss some story mode changes and some thoughts on the Crucible League mechanic. Going back all the way to Act 1, starting with momentum support. I did not find it useful because it did not fit my traditional bow playstyle of fire move, fire move. By level 4, it was already gone from my links and I tested prismatic burst instead. And let me tell you, the difference between the two support gems couldn't be bigger. I found a 2-link Galvanic Arrow Prismatic Burst setup comparable to a 3-link Galvanic Arrow Mirage Archer Momentum setup because the cooldown of Prismatic Burst and its naturally high burst damage fits perfectly well into the fire move bow playstyle. Now Manaforge support is incredibly strong because you can automate many different setups. Right now, one of the most common setups is Frenzy, Manaforge, Power Charge and Crit, and Calling Strike. The next important thing to mention is the passive tree. As expected, having extra projectiles felt great. As soon as I got both nodes, I dropped LMP for my links and ran Lightning Arrow, Mirage Archer, Trinity, and added Cold in Act 5. Another new mastery was the flat 500 accuracy rating. This was impactful because it allowed us to drop precision from our setup, which allowed us to run a 50%, 25%, and a 10% reservation aura while still meeting the requirement for precise technique. Now, let's talk about arguably the most OP mastery. Imagine you do lightning damage. You encounter this mob. What do? Before, you need to Hydrosphere, Triple Curse, Elemental Weakness, Conductivity, Lab Enchant, put down 20 totems, make some friends, get some family support, and talk to your therapist to fight a mob like this. Now we just click this node. Moving on, Instant Leech and 12% mana reservation efficiency masteries were also quite useful. Instant Leech was great for life recovery and mana sustain, while mana reservation efficiency lets us delay charisma and saves skill points. With Axe out of the way, let's talk about early map progression. First things first, fix your resists. If you can't fix it, don't worry. The first 4 points on the Atlas tree are guaranteed essences, which you can use to upgrade your weapon or fix your resists. And as a quick disclaimer, I would not recommend using Wrath and Hatred essences on gear until your final bow is finished. On the topic of bows, in this run I crafted 2 types, non-crit and crit. For non-crit, Imperial or Thicket bows are preferred. In crafting non-crit, you're looking to maximize flat damage and attack speed. For the crit version, Spine bows are preferred. On these bases, we're looking for high flat damage, Crucible crit, and weapon critical strike chance or attack speed. It's important to note that Crucible crit helps facilitate an early crit swap, but in late game scenarios, Crucible attack speed would be preferred. Following this, the earlier we swap to crit, the more it is justified to help Alira during the axe. Furthermore, helping Alira also allows us to get more damage rolls on gear, especially on rings, amulets, and quivers. And as you piece together how to scale your damage on a bow build, you'll quickly realize you want even more flat damage, and the next best source of flat damage is on Abyss Jewels. For a single target, I used Lightning Arrow Barrage and an Artillery Ballista setup. However, in practice, Artillery Ballista totems would often not stay alive in hard content. On the contrary, our Manaforge setup was not conditional with close to 100% uptime, an argument to forgo totems altogether. The last defensive addition to our arsenal was Vol Lightning Arrow. However, without investment into reduced projectile speed, its performance was comparable to momentum support. Proceeding to defenses, the most important thing to craft unfortunately does not exist on gear. However, the skill can still be acquired by going to your local community center and playing dodgeball. On the off chance dodgeball practice was not enough, we also have Grace, Arctic Armor, Spell Suppression, Ghost Shrouds, and cast on damage taken Steel Skin. And to recover from getting hit by wrenches, dodgeballs, monsters, we craft the Veiled Energy Shield Regeneration craft on our belt or chest. If you also have access to the Gravicious or the Curl craft, I would highly recommend crafting them on their corresponding pieces for more mitigation. In this run, we had 1 million LA POB DPS, which resulted in a 2 minute 28 second Eater kill and a 1 minute 14 second EXARCH kill. In comparison to 317, this was much faster. After dealing with Eater EXARCH, we can optimize our setup further, with Eldritch Implicits, Veg Cascade, and a weapon Crucible tree. The next most impactful upgrade is the 6-link. To get one, most players prefer to farm chains that bind sets. It's worth noting, getting the right base type might take more than one try, but it's okay, since we can use both Hybrid Evasion Energy Shield or Pure Evasion bases. For the next 2 Watchstones, you'll want to upgrade your Lightning Arrow damage. As a reference, I found 2 million DPS for Maven and 3.5 million and higher for Uber Elder to feel comfortable. However, if you are a god gamer, of course you can do it with less. If you're looking for further inspiration, I can recommend checking out Manny's and Grotho's characters for their different takes in SSF Crucible and HC Trade. Now, the talk of the town, a couple comments on Crucible. Was it worth it? Well, it was, until I got my crypt bow. But after that, it made little to no sense to continue doing the mechanic, because there is no loot and no realistic upgrades to my bow anytime soon. On top of that, our main defensive mechanic, not getting hit, was unfortunately not that effective against physical Crucible monsters, which resulted in 110% of my deaths. With all that being said, in my opinion, bow builds are more viable than ever, especially in softcore and maybe as a second character in hardcore. If I was to do this run again, I would try to go crit much sooner, drop totems altogether, and test more Maniforge setups. Hopefully this video helps your progression to either EXARCH or provide some ideas to upgrade your bow characters further. If you're looking for information on leveling, you can check out the previous video, which is also linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day, Exiles. Bye!